Sometimes the best superstars in WWE history are happy accidents. Join us as we count down 10 incredible times WWE unintentionally created a megastar. Rusev, initially a generic foreign heel, his career was accidentally just recreated and had given a new life once Aiden English began singing Rusev Day. The chant became a massive organic movement with fans. However, WWE reportedly misunderstood the reaction, thinking fans were mocking him instead and never giving him a main event push that was demanding. This is a consistent theme within Rusev, aka Miro's career in general. He was initially pushed as a monster when he got to the main roster, and they didn't pull the trigger on him and have him go over John Cena at WrestleMania 31, so he never reached the height that he should have. He also could have been a big star once Rusev Day came about. And in AEW, they were invested in this guy, yet there was consistent start and stop pushes, something that consistently happens within his pro wrestling career in general. Damian Sandow, one of the biggest what ifs, I think, in pro wrestling history. After his failed Money in the Bank cash in, he was in gimmick heck. All right. He was not in a good spot, to the point where they literally booked him as a stunt double for The Miz, Damian Mizdow. Now, look, his comedic commitment to mimicking The Miz got him more over than the star he was beforehand. Shadowing, forcing WWE to acknowledge his popularity with a brief babyface run. Now, look, I don't think this gimmick would have lasted long for him, and clearly it didn't, but I think his previous gimmick, the heel turn, and the I'm smarter than you gimmick, I just don't think he performed very well, even though he tried very hard. But if you could have reinvented himself and done the whole just Aaron Stevens real life, this is who I am babyface, I think it would have worked. The New Day debuted with a bland, preachy babyface gimmick the fans absolutely rejected, to the point where they chanted the New Day sucks. The trio then took control, turned heel, and leaned into their natural charisma with trombones and bootios, and it accidentally became one of WWE's most beloved and successful tag teams in history. I mean, the classic matches, all the title reigns, etc. But I think people forget how lame the initial vignettes for them were, the initial gimmicks was for them, and they really turned it around and they created it its own. It was a situation in which WWE brass was like, "Oh, we love this idea," and the fans hated this idea. And then those guys were like, "Look, what you're doing is not working. Let us try it our way." And once they did it their way, they were off to the races. They absolutely crushed. They absolutely delivered, and that is why the New Day got over to the point where they got over. Dolph Ziggler. Now, look, he is the near man. Okay, a lot of people consider him the near man. What do I say by that? All the times in which he could have broken into a main event type player, become a world champion multiple times over, and really become the guy, yet it never happened, right? Ziggler's Money in the Bank cash in on the Raw after WrestleMania 29 received one of the loudest ovations in modern history. The fans, not WWE's booking, created an iconic moment and crowned him as the guy, though the company failed to capitalize on his accidental momentum. Think about this. Dolph Ziggler had a long, successful run with WWE, winning multiple championships, Intercontinental title, US title, tag team titles, etc., world title, after he was part of one of the worst trios or factions, I should say, in history, which is the Spirit Squad. The fact that this guy consistently was booked by WWE years after is a testament to his hard work and the fans believing in him. Fandango. Now, hear me out on this. His ballroom dancer gimmick was meant to just simply be a novelty act. However, the crowd at the Raw after WrestleMania 29 started singing and dancing his catchy theme song. This fandangoing trend went viral, accidentally making him the most over act in the company for a brief, surreal period. But WWE, it wasn't something they made, therefore they had to squash it, and they never capitalized truly on his huge momentum. But the fact is, Fandango took a horrific gimmick, being a ballroom heel dancer, transitioning into a comedy babyface, him and Tyler Breeze and having a long run holding multiple tag team championships, that is truly an accidental star because that should not have happened. That should not have worked, yet it did. Truly amazing. Zack Ryder. Think about this, a lower tier guy, a lower tier heel guy. He was able to create superstardom. He was initially brought in, him and Kurt Hawkins were just basically lackeys for Edge. They took all of his bumps. It was not going to go anywhere. Up until that point, they weren't going anywhere. It was Edge who brought them up to the main roster and who said, hey, we need to do something with these guys. I want to do something. Then Zack Ryder, he started using YouTube in 2011 to create his own show, the Z True Long Island Story, and he got himself over with fans. It wasn't WWE. This led to fans chanting for him during live events and house shows and TV, and it led to WWE doing something, giving him a U.S. title run, giving him an Intercontinental title run. And now he's doing amazing things on the independent scene. They literally lucked into the Zack Ryder success story. And I don't think people get enough, they don't pay attention enough to what they were able to do with Zack Ryder. All right, let's get controversial. CM Punk. Look, while initially a fan favorite, he was not poised to be the guy. Okay, they literally wanted him gone, released in 2006, 2007, excuse me, 2005, 2006. But he just pushed forward. He got over with the ECW audience. He got over with the main roster Raw SmackDown. It wasn't until really June of 2011 with his pipe bomb promo that shattered the fourth wall and resonated so strongly with the fans that it ignited a movement forcing WWE to keep him in the main event picture. He had had multiple title runs up to that point. He had had feuds with The Undertaker and CM Punk and others. But it wasn't until the fans were like, oh, that's our guy now. Like, he speaks for us. That's an accidental star. And that's what they were able to do with CM Punk. Pure freaking Talk about luck. We're talking about Kofi Kingston, a beloved tag team star, but he was never seen as a main event guy in WWE. Sure, he had runs as U.S. champ and Intercontinental champ, but it really wasn't main event worthy. But that all changed when he got a chance due to an injury to Mustafa Ali in 2019, having a making performance in Elimination Chamber led to the Kofi Mania. Becky Lynch. Look, she was planned to be a villain in a 2018 feud with Charlotte Flair, which, is always a great idea. Now, fans rejected this, cheering for Becky's rebellious personality instead, and it led to the birth of the man persona, which only was then fueled by iconic accidental broken nose moment on Monday Night Raw thanks to Nia freaking Jax, and it made her the hottest act in the company and a true main eventer. She went on, feuded with Ronda Rousey, feuded with Charlotte Flair, won the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships at WrestleMania in the first ever women's main event. She has a main event at WrestleMania. She's truly one of their biggest stars, has been for the last few years. This was accidental. WWE did not envision Becky Lynch being the star that she later became. And it's absolutely beautiful to see who she has become and the star in which she has created. Daniel Bryan. WWE intended for him to be a dependable mid-card talent to the point where they paired him on NXT with The Miz, okay? But he consistently got over, starting with the no chant, then the yes chant. It led to a full-blown rebellion to the point where he kept getting screwed over and being called a B-plus player, and WWE management literally mocking him on television to the point where the fans started to hijack shows, forcing WWE to insert him into the WrestleMania main event. Now, of course, he had to go over Triple H to do so, but still, this guy became one of their biggest stars, one of their biggest baby faces in the history of the business, and it was all due to an accident.